3.
Have you ever wondered why America is one of the last countries that has not switched over to using the metric system? How do we operate with such a different system? And what kind of impact do we have using the imperial system instead of the metric system? What should we use instead? The metric system is used by almost all of the world except for 3 countries. I've spent my life really not using the metric system very much, but I have researched both the metric system and the imperial system. Today we're going to talk about the problems with using the imperial system, the benefits of using the metric system, and the impact that we would have by switching from the imperial to the metric system. Let's begin with the problems. The first problem is that by using the imperial system, America has put a divider between other countries. We're not as united, and according to a documentary called More Than a Mile Behind, America and the Metric System, 95% of the world uses the metric system with the exception of the United States, Burma, and Liberia. The second problem is that transitions are a lot more difficult by using the imperial system. For example, with length alone, we have 3 different ways to measure. We use feet, we use yards, and we use inches. These are difficult because you can't easily switch between them without having to multiply several things to get there. Another problem with transitions can be seen through the example from Mental-Floss's article, The Big Six, 6-Unit Conversion Disasters. In this example, NASA lost $125 million because one team used the metric system to measure for the Mars rover, while the other team used the imperial system. This created a disunited front for NASA and had created transition problems between the units. Another area that is a problem is in the world of science and medicine, business, and in travel. According to the same article in Mental-Floss, the Institute, in 1999, the Institute for Safe Medication Practice reported that a patient was given 0.5 grams of a sedative instead of 0.5 grains. A grain is about 0.065 grams, which meant he was given too much medication. Based on this experience, the Institute recommended that for prescription drugs, the metric system be the only one that's used. What if you want to go to another country and you want to buy a pair of really cute shoes? What size do you get? That would be a problem if you wanted to travel much. Another problem in business is that businesses are having to label in both the metric and imperial system, and this creates a problem because some companies won't purchase unless it's only in the metric system. So now that we've talked about the problems associated with the imperial system, let's consider the benefits of the metric system. With the metric system, we'd have a united front around the world. If all the countries used it, we wouldn't have issues of conversion within the areas of business and travel and science and medication. You'd also make conversions a lot easier. One thing that's hard with the imperial system is that conversions take a lot longer. If you look at this example here, you can see that on this side, imperial conversions take much longer. You've got several steps involved in getting to your right answer if you were going to switch from 100 yards to 100 meters if you were visiting another country. Well, with the metric system, it's a lot more simple. If you wanted to switch to know how many kilograms there are in a gram, it would be pretty easy to switch. Or in a certain number of grams, you would just have to multiply and simply move decimal points. That's according to the documentary More Than a Mile Behind. Another thing that's nice about the metric system is that it's much easier to learn. There's a smaller list of basic units that are based on an absolute value, and don't refer to a lot of other units like some do. That's according to Reply, Advantage of Using the Metric System and Disadvantage article that I read. So now that we've looked at the benefits of using the metric system, let's consider further what life would be like if we did convert to the metric system. So in any problem, you're going to have to consider the pros and cons. In this case, you would have to deal with a few cons in the sense that it would cost quite a bit of money to convert. You would have to pay to educate people, and you'd also have to pay to change signs over and change measuring devices, things like that. And I already mentioned education was my other problem. The positive aspects of this would be unity. As I've mentioned several times, unity is a big thing for using the metric system. It would unite business and science and medication and things like that that need to have a common document. Another example is that businesses wouldn't be losing $315 billion per year that's currently being lost due to companies in other countries not wanting to use products that are labeled with the imperial system. That's according to Pat Naughton, who's a consultant for metric conversion. He helps businesses to switch their products from imperial to metric measurements. Another example of how another positive aspect of the metric system in America would be the fact that schools are already teaching kids how to use the metric system. According to the Common Core State Standards website and the documentary More Than a Mile Behind, second graders are already learning how to use basic measurement tools such as meter sticks and yardsticks to measure both metric and imperial standards, as well as estimate using centimeters and inches and feet and meters. And you'll also notice that we've already got a lot of products that are labeled with both imperial and metric. If you look here at my new water bottle I just got, on one side we've got the ounces, and on the other side we've got milliliters. Several products are like this. You could walk to your bathroom and look at almost any product you use, including your shampoo or toothpaste, and it would be labeled in both of those. That's nice because you wouldn't have to change from that. You could keep those established and build off of those products that are already established. The final one I have is that if you did go to another country with a knowledge of the conversions, of using conversions in metric system, you would already know what size shoe to purchase, or how fast to drive, or how much you're spending on gas compared to America. These are the things that would change by using the metric system. Now that we've talked about how America would be impacted by using the metric system, let's review what we talked about and find out how you can get involved with this issue. Today we talked about the problems associated with using the imperial system, we talked about the benefits of using the metric system, and we talked about the impact of conversion. So here's where you can help. Now you can write a letter to your congressman asking to start using more of the metric system in America. Or you could go to www.change.com and sign the petition to convert America to the metric system. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you have a personal experience where you had to deal with the difference between the metric and the empirical unit? And can you elaborate on that, and how was it stressful, or did it cause any difficulty?
Yes. In my science class, we were doing an experiment, and I've been used to using the imperial system. However, I didn't realize that the whole entire lab was supposed to be in the metric system. So when I compared my answers to my classmates, I had used one measure and they had used the other, so our answers were completely different. In a real-world scenario, that definitely could have created a lot bigger problems than just having to redo the assignment. Are there any other questions?
I think senior adults would probably have the most problem because they have grown up totally with the imperial system. And so, do you have any ideas on how you might work with senior adults to help them learn?
Well, I highly recommend a system similar to what England did when they metricated. They kept a more bilingual kind of situation where they listed both metric and imperial units in order to keep their heritage with the imperial system, but also to switch to the countries around them that used it. Keep it bilingual so that there's still the ability to use either one. The other thing I would say would be do some classes at senior centers, or offer, put up billboards and signs and campaigns on TV just to make people more aware of using the metric system. Are there any other questions?
Go ahead.
What would be the hardest issue with switching to the metric system here in the United States? What do you think is the single most biggest problem with that?
Well, I think Americans really like to hold on to their heritage, so I think if we took away all of the imperial system, you would have a lot of backlash and people wanting to keep their common system. But to still educate them on how to use the metric system would make them better when they have to travel for business or just travel for fun or just in relations with other countries. It would still educate them, but it wouldn't take away that pride in what we've always known that we have. I want to leave you with this. How would you like to measure up? Thank you so much.